One of the most underrated games heading into week 6 is Iowa State at Cincinnati. Iowa State is undefeated heading into this game. Cincinnati only has the one loss to Nebraska. And with what we saw last weekend with Cincinnati's offense, this is going to be interesting. The Bearcats are a 1.5 point favorite right now against an undefeated team, and that speaks a lot to what this team can do, what they're capable of. You look at the offensive explosion we saw last week against Kansas, that could be a concern if you're Iowa State. Now, Iowa State also kind of took care of business and took it to Arizona. That was a game that I thought was going to be much closer, and the Cyclones essentially just left no doubt about that game. They were very dominant at times, and they made sure that Arizona didn't feel like it had a chance. And part of that's the offense, part of that's also the defense. I think if you're Iowa State's defense, you are going to have to figure out how do we lock in and slow down Brendan Sorsby. Brendan Sorsby is one of the better quarterbacks that not a lot of people are talking about. And when you look at the season he's had so far, it's a big reason why the Cyclones are a little bit concerned about what he could do against them. 69.2% completion percentage, 1,043 yards, 10 touchdowns to just one interception. He also has 227 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. Now, the passing for Brendan Sorsby was the big thing that we were looking at coming into this year. We wondered what he was going to be able to do as a passer. And his development as a passer was going to determine if this team was going to have more success than the win total was showing. Now, part of that is who he's had to throw the ball to. You brought in Cyrus Allen. You brought in Caleb Goody, Jeff Caldwell. You had guys coming in that we had questions about. Allen has 23 catches for 273 yards and 5 touchdowns. Goody's second on the team with 251 yards. He's averaging 19.3 yards per catch. Caldwell is a guy that we saw come in and they wanted him to be a big play threat, averaging over 16 yards per catch. He's been kind of like that. Joe Royer was a returnee that we knew could be potentially good. 162 yards and 2 touchdowns for him. So it's been a good balance so far for this offense. One guy hasn't been dominating in the pass catching areas. So you feel good about what Brendan Sorsby has with him. Now, Sorsby does lead the team in rushing as well, but bringing in Tawi Walker to join Evan Pryor in that backfield has also yielded good dividends as well. Walker's averaging 5.3 yards per carry, and he leads all running backs with 3 touchdowns. That's a good 1-2 punch for Cincinnati, and that's going to give them opportunities to continue making plays and balance this offense out. Now, last week we saw the passing attack shine, but that doesn't mean that the defense or the rushing attack can't do their job as well. The defense is also going to have to find ways to be physical up front. Now, we have seen a defense that has learned to play without Dante Corleone, which has been unfortunate, but sometimes that just is what it is. Sometimes your best player isn't able to go, and you have to find guys to step up in his place. Now, we knew that the linebackers were going to be solid. We knew that they were going to give you a level of play that you expected. You just want to see the defensive line maybe take a little bit of a step forward, because when you look at who's been doing work, the tackles for loss and the sacks have been largely coming from the second and third levels. And in this game where Iowa State is going to want to be physical and pound the rock as much as possible, you need guys up front to step up in that way. You need guys to be able to be disruptive and make plays for your defense to slow down this Iowa State offense. This Iowa State offense is not the most explosive. They are not going to dominate you every single week, but they are capable of making big plays. Now, you do have 2 different types of backs that you have to prepare for. Carson Hansen is more of that between the tackles, pick up a chunk of yards time and time again. Abu Samo has been clearly, once again, that explosive back. When he gets the football, he is a home run threat. And both of them are tough to prepare for. Stopping the run is going to be a big time focus if you're Cincinnati. For Iowa State, the question is still going to be who is that go-to guy. The amount of talent that you have at the wide receiver and tight end positions gives you plenty of options. Rocco Beck has looked fairly solid. It's just that he hasn't had a consistent threat every single week. It's been kind of a different player. Brett Eskridson was that first guy to do it against Kansas State in the opener. Chase Sowell last week had some big plays. Gabe Burkles had some big plays this year. You have 5 guys with over 100 yards receiving. Your leading receiver is still Eskridson with 216 yards. There have been some big plays, and you have, of those 5 guys, 2 of them are averaging over 20 yards per catch. 3 of them have over 17. So it's clearly kind of like boom or bust when it comes to your passing attack. You'd like to see that get a little bit more consistent, but you'll also take what you can get. And so far, it looks like this offense has things figured out of what works for them. How do they get the ball down the field? And this is a team that could have success against Cincinnati. Again, if you look what Kansas did to Cincinnati's defense, that's probably the biggest concern for the Bearcats. Are they going to be able to stop this offense? Because this is an offense that's going to be physical and use play action to make those big plays. For Iowa State, though, is how do you stop Brendan Sorsby? He's playing with a ton of confidence. He's playing on a different level than a lot of quarterbacks. You need to switch up the looks. And you look at this Iowa State defense, their unique style, their unique system. That's going to give this Cincinnati offense something to consider, something to think about. And the secondary has been playing well. The linebackers have also been playing well. And a guy that isn't getting enough love is Dominique Orange. His stats aren't going to show his effectiveness. His stats aren't going to show you the things that he's doing, but he is making an impact. And the guys around him are also stepping up. So if you're trying to pick this game, it's going to be tough. Now, playing in Nippert Stadium, to me, is why Cincinnati has the advantage. Iowa State has its own home field advantage, but they don't get that because they're going on the road. I do think with how Cincinnati is playing, they're going to win this one. It's going to be fun, though. If Iowa State can go in and be physical and hit those explosive plays, Cincinnati's going to have a tough time. And this is a defense in Iowa State can also slow down this Cincinnati offense. But if things swing into Cincinnati's favor early, that's going to be a loud stadium. And I don't know if Iowa State has the ability to make some sort of a comeback if that margin gets too steep.